Hi everyone, welcome to Lady in the Red Bandana, and today I have a super special guest because he is one of my inspirations. He is also my little brother. So hi Rikki.
Hello.
Rikki is an apprentice for JLR, and I'm just going to hand it over to him to explain a little bit about what he does.
Yeah, I'm a mature apprentice at JLR, so I'm a bit of a late starter. But yeah, we work on the prototypes of the next sort of 4 to 5 years of cars for JLR. So we just work on the development side of that.
Cool. And what do you like doing in your spare time?
Playing video games and playing the guitar. It's pretty much my two main things. That's all I do.
That's pretty like big things though, so you have to be heavily involved in.
And I cook. Obviously, I cook as well. I can't forget that.
Of course.
But it's just such a normal part of my life. I just forget to mention it.
So let's go back to the start a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I know pretty much know the answers to these questions, but we're going to talk about how you got started in doing what you're doing now, because your journey is quite interesting because you've gone from being a chef professionally all the way now to being an apprentice at Jaguar Land Rover. How does that happen for anyone?
I don't even know. I ask myself this question every day, and people at work ask me how I managed it as well. But no, I think a lot of the sort of disciplines and skills I learned in catering translated quite well in the JLR interview as well, in terms of like how committed I am to doing a job and like time management, things like that. And yeah, it went down really well. Mum told me about the apprenticeship through someone she knew at work, and they told me to apply, and I did. I mean, I didn't apply quite as heartedly as I should have. I just thought, yeah, I'll give it a go, and sort of carried on doing my catering job. But no, it's kind of spiraled out of control. I ended up getting the job, and I've not looked back since. It's an amazing place to work. I love it.
So let's go back again, and we'll go back to why did you get started in catering and chefing?
I started cooking because of my grandma, because of just she let me into the kitchen and let me just cook with her, and I learned a lot from her. And I said to my mum, I want to be a chef. And then when it came to it, I did work experience at Enigma in Market Harbour, and they kind of just dropped me in the deep end and said, right, cut this lettuce, and they gave me a knife, and like I think it was a lettuce or a cabbage or something. I was like, I've never cut a vegetable in my life before. Yeah, I got on with that. I was washing up for a bit, and then they got me on the sandwiches and hot plate after that, and I was just like, yeah, this is definitely what I want to do.
So what changed for you in the sense of you'd had not enough of your chefing, because I know that you love cooking. I know that you love cooking, and we love you cooking too, believe me. But what changed? Why did you think, right, I want to do something different now?
It's to be a chef. It's a massive commitment to sort of your working hours and your life. Like you got to sacrifice a lot to be a chef, and it was kind of difficult for me. It's not that I didn't want to cook anymore. I did, but it wasn't in a sort of commercial environment. I was enjoying cooking at home a lot more than I was for customers. I don't mean that in a bad way, but I was just doing it when I'm at home. I get to do it for the people that I love the most, and I can put my proper heart and soul into it that way. JLR was just a way of doing something completely different and out of the blues, just challenging myself to do something totally new. I've always liked like cars and engineering, even if it was from Lego or Connects when I was younger, because I used to do loads of that, and it was about as close as I could get. So I did 3 years at Leicester College after university, and that was in motor vehicle engineering as well. So that sort of tried to get me in that industry a bit. But even since then, I was doing catering jobs in between. So it was the cooking jobs that kind of kept me employed and kept my bills being paid. So I just stuck with it. And then JLR was my first sort of entrance into the department.
It's really interesting that you said after university, because a lot of people feel that you have to go to university to achieve anything. And I think nowadays apprenticeships are becoming more well known. talk about a bit, if you can talk to us a bit about your experience of university and how you feel, and I know this already, that your apprenticeships have helped you more than university did.
Well, it's university would have helped a lot. I mean, having a degree will open up a lot of doors for you. Not necessarily for the job you want, but having a degree will help. But for someone who's, say, 16 years old, an apprenticeship is just, it's such a good way to start a career, especially if you already know in your head what you want to do. So if you want to be a car mechanic, or if you want to do, like, if you want to go into teaching, an apprenticeship, like, it's a good way of just getting employed, getting some income, being a bit more independent. And if you do well, like, they will employ you straight afterwards. Some apprenticeships, you're not guaranteed the job at the end. You've got to really show them that you really want to do it. But in terms of getting job experience that early on, I think it's a really good idea. Like, especially if you're leaving A levels, like, look for apprenticeships. Definitely, it's an awesome way of just getting a job.
Now, do you feel that your experience at university helped you almost in your personal life more than your professional life?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, in university, networking is really important. So I'm quite an introverted, closed person. I'd like to just have a few friends that I trust. And going to university, you need to be able to network really well and be sort of open and like that kind of person, like an extrovert. And I'm not like that. So it wasn't really for me. I would say university is good for, like, it's kind of hard to say. What do you mean by, like, helping me personally?
Do you feel like it helped you, because you've just said you're an introvert, so do you think it helped you like just meet a few more people and different people as well?
Oh yeah, definitely, because everyone's in the same situation. I met a lot more people that are like me, because I decided my first year I studied Japanese language, and obviously I met a lot of people who are into the same thing, and they're a lot like me as well. So it's like, oh, these are my boys. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. But in the end, university and that method of studying and sort of not having much income, that wasn't for me in the end. So I ended up dropping out and going to Leicester College straight afterwards.
Now, we talked a little bit before about what you do to, as well as your chefing and as well as your engineering, is playing guitar and video games. Now, how have they both helped you in your life?
Playing games as much as I did has both been good and bad. Yeah, definitely good and bad.
Let's talk about that a bit. Let's go for the good first.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It keeps me occupied. It gives me something to do. I mean, I find games to be much more interactive and helpful than sitting in front of a TV. Like, the idea of doing that doesn't interest me at all. I don't mind doing it if I've got a bit of dinner or snack and spend some time with someone, but no, I think games they've definitely helped, but in ways that I can't really explain. It's a difficult one, because in terms of my social life, games have been paramount. Like, I wouldn't have a social life if it wasn't for games, because I use, like, my three best friends. One of them is in Harborough, one of them's now in Sweden, and the other one lives in Lincoln. The only way I can talk to them is through the medium of games. We all occasionally play the same game together. I use Discord, which is like a voice chat program for gamers, and we all use that. It's just nice to be able to chat to people like that.
But playing guitar means that that's kind of like the different end of that scale. So it's
totally different, because especially when we were playing live in hashtags, you kind of have to meet new people, and you're the center of attention, which is like, that's my idea of hell. I hate that. But when people are enjoying what you're doing and I'm enjoying what I'm doing, you can't beat that. That's a really good experience. I've got two ends of the spectrum, so I'm meeting people online and I don't have to see them, and I can just come off the call if I want to, and it's fine. But when you're in a band, it's like you have to perform for them, and it's like it kind of balances up in the middle. You know what I mean? Yeah.
You're both different extremes on there's no middle ground with you, and I know this. You're
No.
either you like your own time and you like being on your own and like doing your video games, and which is there's no problem in that at all, and being with your friends. But then I know that you love performing, and you can see it in the way that you perform with the band, and hopefully, fingers crossed, when we can start obviously up again, and you can see how happy it makes people. I think that's a big thing as well.
Yeah, it makes people happy, and this is another reason that I like cooking for people I love as well, because it makes them happy. It makes for really easy birthday and Christmas presents as well. I say easy, sometimes it's not, but it's nice to give something like that I've made and put effort into. And yeah, it's a tough one because like my main personality is on games and chatting to people like that. That's me. When it comes to playing hashtags, I kind of sometimes have to change my persona a little bit just to fit in with the rest of the band, because you can't be introverted when you're on stage. I find that a bit odd, but I enjoy both equally.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, it gives you your balance.
Yeah, it does. It's a nice balance.
So, what do you like cooking the most?
Anything. I kind of like Korean food actually. That's my number one food right now is Korean. Just they balance the flavors really well, like sour, sweet, spicy, and what's the other one? I think it's bitter, something like that. But their food is a lot less strict than Japanese. I find. I think Japanese is very regimented. It like has to be like this, similar to Italian. But but no, I like making Korean food. I'm working on making my own handmade noodles. I've been doing it sort of the Chinese way, which is really simple, but then there's loads of different methods. I've got all the ingredients, just haven't got around to it yet. I'm always trying to make something new. So.
I'm going to talk about something that I know that you're a little bit uncomfortable talking about, and that get ready for it. And that is you as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I find that you love helping other people. You want people to be happy with the food that you make. You want people to be happy with the music that you make.
Yeah.
But what makes you happy? How do you look after yourself?
Yeah. So in terms of health, I always make fresh food. There's never anything that's just banged in the oven, chopped up. Like everything is cooked from scratch. I think that benefits the girls as well because they're always eating well. I mainly do it for them. I don't want them to sort of grow up on rubbish really, because I want them to know how important it is to have healthy meals all the time. In terms of my own well-being, I do make sure I get out of the house now and spend time with the guys downstairs. Just doing anything really. We have a couple of family days a week where we make sure we do something after dinner, whether that's watch a film, play a board game, Cards Against Humanity, that kind of thing. And me, I just make sure I set enough time out in the day to do my own thing. Like without restrictions, without feeling guilty for not doing anything else. This is just me time, and I can enjoy whatever I do.
What would you suggest for somebody who wanted to change their career from, like, because you did massively from chefing to engineering? What would you suggest for somebody who was a little bit scared about that?
I would tell them it's never too late. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can change your career into whatever you like. Apprenticeships, after my personal experience, are the best way to do that. Like, there's people taking on mature apprentices in any sort of career line, really. So have a look around and do that. Talk to people in the industry. There's people online that can do that. If you know anyone, someone who must know someone. Yeah, I'll just say basically it's not too late. I thought it was too late because I was so established in catering and cooking. I thought that's it. This is what I have to do now, and it was getting me down quite a lot actually, because I thought, I think I can do something else. I can spend more time at home, and it was through apprenticeships. So yeah. That'd be the best way to do it.
You did it for a long time, and
Yeah.
to show people that it's okay to change if you want to. There's no harm in it. It doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter who you are. It's about the effort that you put in.
And it doesn't matter what other people think either. Like if like there'll be people in that industry you've been with that are trying to put you off and tell you it's a bad idea. Just you only live this once, just do it. If you think you've got to change career, that's the universe telling you get out and do something else right now because you're going to run out of time. So just do it.
We have all been in this situation of a pandemic, which means that we've been locked down. Now, I don't think much has changed for you in the sense of working because you've been going to work every day. So that's fine. But what would you take from this time that we've had and want to do more of it when we come out of the lockdowns and pandemic?
Honestly, just spending time with family because, like you said, I've been at work exactly the same amount of time in lockdown and out of lockdown. That didn't change for me, and I was really lucky for that. I'd never ever think I was unlucky because a lot of people have had it quite difficult because they've been out of jobs, on furlough, etc. But I was lucky enough to not do that. But because these guys have been home, I've been spending a lot more time with them, and I think that time is a lot more precious to me now. So these guys are back at school now. Bex will be back at work soon as well, and we'll always make sure we still have time together because while they've been at home, obviously I come back and I spend time with them, but that will slowly reduce because they'll be at work, they'll be at school, etc. So we want to keep that and make sure that doesn't change. That's really important to spend time with your family, definitely.
I'm going to ask you a question that I have not asked anyone in advance because I think it's important to come from your heart. It doesn't have to be a person, it doesn't have to be a thing, it doesn't have to be an object, but it can be one of those if you want it to be. What inspires you or who inspires you?
It's got to be my mum. Without a shadow of a doubt. That's number one because of how hard she's worked and she's stuck with it. It's been insanely difficult for her. She's had days where it's been brilliant, she's had days where it's been terrible, and she's stuck with it the whole time. The fact that she's managed to raise me and you while doing that on her own is just like, I'll never compare to that. I won't even get anywhere close to that. But yeah, she's my biggest inspiration.
I think it's not about comparing, is it? It's just about feeling lucky that we've had her.
I'm not really comparing, but it's always something to chase and just to be that good. To have someone like that in your life, then that's you can't really argue with that. That's the best thing in the world, really.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
My inspiration too, and you, of course, are my inspiration. Every day I think about how lucky I am to have the two closest people to me are my brother, which is yourself, and my mum, and what both of you have gone through. I mean, what you do is, for me, is incredible. You've gone from one extreme to another and you keep on going to all these extremes and being absolutely brilliant at it every time. And the viewers and listeners need to know this, that I call him the golden child because literally everything he touches turns to gold. But it's not because you just do it and it just happens that you're really good at it. You put hard work and dedication in. I joke about it. I know I joke about it and say, oh, it's easy for you because you're the favorite and blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, you put so much hard work and determination into it, but you don't show people that that's what you do.
Just kind of do it.
You just do it. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. We're embarrassing you now.
Yep.
Yeah, good. So on to the subject of empowerment. How do you feel empowered by the knowledge that you have? And you've got tons of it because you're forever learning, and you have been obviously in a career since the age 14.
It's a good talking point, purely because, especially with my work colleagues, my workmates, because I am introverted, it's quite difficult for me to start a conversation with someone, and I have a crippling fear of awkward silences. So, when it comes to talking with me or about them, it usually turns the conversation towards catering. and like my cooking and what you're going to cook this week and what you're doing and what you're making this weekend. So it keeps conversations flowing. And for my sort of insecurity of having an awkward silence with someone when you're kind of forced to talk to them, it's good to keep a conversation flowing like that. That helps a lot, and it affects me more than I'd like it to when I find it difficult to talk to someone. So I'll always, I'll always say hi to someone, and if they say hi and just walk off, then it's kind of like, okay, that's fine for me. But if they stop and talk and I don't know what to talk about, I start panicking a bit. But yeah, everything I've been through before is career wise has helped with that kind of thing. Yeah.
Everything that you do the best at, right?
I know what you're going to say.
Me and Rob were talking about this the other day, and when we found out, obviously, that you weren't very well, was about 3-4 weeks before our wedding. And the one thing that I said, and the one thing that Rob said as well, actually, is that we're not having this wedding if Rikki isn't there, because you are an integral part of our support network. You are, you're my brother, you're my best friend, and I know Rob thinks the absolute world of you as well. And
well, you still have the wedding, so that was why.
Yeah, we had the wedding. Well, because you couldn't be there for a reason. This is what I'm trying to get to. So we still had the wedding, and you still could watch us, obviously, online. Now, the reason for this is because you got COVID, but you got it really bad.
I got it properly.
Rikki got COVID the best, basically.
I'm going to get it. I'm not going to get like rubbish man flu COVID. I'm going to get full blown proper hospital COVID.
Yeah. So joking aside, obviously we know it's a really serious thing. People have obviously lost their lives, and it is terrible. And what we've all had to go through is just insane. But tell us a little bit about what was going through your head when you had COVID.
I mean, it was terrible. Like I've never felt that bad before. I know people that have had it are going to say, yeah, it's the worst I've ever felt, but it's like you're a different person. Like Bex was here, like self-isolated as well, and she was asking like, how do you feel? Just tell me. And I couldn't even get words out. It's like I was a different person. Like something was scrambling my brain to the point where I was slurring my speech.
How did that affect you not being able to do personal things like obviously come to our wedding?
I was losing my mind. I hated it. I felt I wanted to come, but there's no way I could have even set foot out of the house. And just about managed to scramble a speech together as well for my uncle British mama to say. That was difficult. Honestly, it was hard to watch because we were watching it live on my PC, and the girls were downstairs watching it as well. It was difficult to watch because I mean it was great because you guys were getting married. I loved it, but the fact that I was like so close and so far away from it because I was going to give you away as well. Yeah, it wasn't nice. It was easily the worst 4.5 weeks of my life.
Hopefully we're going to be out of this situation very soon, and hopefully you guys are going to be able to start practicing again and all the rest of it. So we are going on to positive points, and you'll be able to give me away at the end of the year, so
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this, because I know that you aren't the most comfortable when doing things like this, but I think you've been brilliant, so thank you.
I appreciate what you're doing. I think it's really helpful for people to know how people are doing inside and outside lockdown, because everyone's different. You're going to be interviewing people who are really extroverted and have struggled in lockdown because they can't go out every day like they used to. Not necessarily drinking, but just visiting people and going out of the house and spending 20% of the time in the house normally and 80% out. Whereas for me, it's the other way around. So lockdown hasn't really affected me that much. I feel empathy for people. It has affected a lot, but I was lucky in the sense that it hasn't really. So it's been all right, yeah. Do everything you enjoy and don't let anyone stop you from doing it. That's a really important thing. Learn something new, learn a new skill. Like with the guitar for me, I gave up for a year because I just couldn't figure it out. When Mum got me my first starter pack, I thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. Just put it down for a year. Picked it up again, and all of a sudden, it was all coming to me. So That's another one. Don't give up on it either. Just stick at it. You've got plenty of time. Just stick at it. Spend time with your loved ones. Make sure you talk to someone every day as well, especially your mum. I need to do that more. I need to do it more often. It's my bad. Sorry, mum.
I'm sure she is very, very proud of you. I know she's very proud of us both. So yeah, that is really good advice for everyone. And you've given yourself some own advice, so that's good.
There you go.
Thanks, Rick.
No worries.
We have been the lady in the red bandana, and we want you to be empowered to believe in yourself.